Greetings.
Hello.
Greet.
My greeting. Well met.
I greet you.
Greetings, traveler.
Greetings, friend.
The pleasure is mine.
Well,
Hello.
the switch from safety dance to show intro was extremely jarring,
Well,
but
that was Beef Squatch's idea. And it was actually a miss for last week's episode because do you know who sings the safety dance, Appa?
Men Without Hats.
Which is what you all were last week.
Well, we were Men Without Hat, but still works. Still
It's the-
good enough. Good find, Beef Squatch. A+.
Yes.
Keep it up. Proud of you.
And welcome to
Alright,
Coin
well-
Concede.
Welcome to episode 172 of Coin Concede. I thought we decided that I was doing it.
We did. I literally asked in the pre-show. Oh my god,
Yeah.
patrons,
Oh.
patrons! You heard me,
Didn't I
patrons.
say I was
Like
doing it?
45 seconds ago. The patrons have all this evidence. This is going to be in the raw audio. I said who's anchoring, and then I said I'll anchor. I have a segue,
No, okay, hold on.
and
hold on.
Botticus was
Wait.
afraid.
Okay, no, I wasn't paying attention to that one because I was reading the APXvoid tweet. What I distinctly remember is before I got up to go get Tums for the heartburn that we had discussed right before this, you said, "Who's anchoring tonight? Do you want me to?" And I said, "No, I'll do it." So you audibled on me at the last second while I was reading something else. Doesn't count. I want to do it.
By audible, you mean I literally asked you while you were sitting there, and you didn't respond. And I said, hey, Appa, would you like to anchor this episode that has totally not started already?
No,
That's-
not anymore. It's been taken from me.
And I want you to anchor. I really.
You have mutinied this.
It's not a mutiny if I ask. If I ask you, it's not a mutiny. That's not how mutiny works.
If I didn't respond to the question, then I didn't get the information, so it's like it never happened.
If the second in command goes up to the captain and says, "Hey, can I be the captain now?" and the captain just doesn't do anything, that's not a mutiny. It's a request. They're very different concepts. Oh my god. If you're here for the live show, I hope you realize this is a special moment that has no chance in hell of making it to the final audio.
Okay. You know what? You go. I apologize.
It's okay.
Oh, Jesus
It
Christ.
just reminded me that I needed to open up Twitch chat anyways, so mistakes and miracles.
Oh,
It's very honest, buddy. I hope you're enjoying this. And other patrons that are listening to this, it is exactly as chaotic as you think it is. None of this is going to make it in the final episode. I'm marking this right now. You're going to hear my keyboard. That's the sound I make when I mark shameful failure on behalf of our podcast.
This is about as good as you queuing us up to clap to sync our audio, and me just doing it while my mic was muted.
Yes. Yeah, this is a special moment. I can see that the week off has all of us in rare form. Let's start over. By the way,
Not my fault.
there's no way that was my fault. Hello and welcome to episode 172 of Coin Concede, a Hearthstone podcast dedicated to making the competitive side of the game more accessible to you. Joining you from Gadgets in New York, totally not the second time trying to record this, it's me, RidiculousHat, back from a week away. Also joining us from Karazhan, California, it's our friend Botticus.
Hello.
And joining everyone from the Maelstrom, Louisiana, he's not anchoring the show despite what he may tell you. His name is Appa.
Definitely not anchoring.
No way.
It was determined pre-show.
Maybe. Questionable. Depends who you ask. And Coin Concede is supported in large part by you, the listener. If you'd like to find out how you can support us and receive rewards in return, head to patreon.com/coinconcede. Such rewards include a clip of the raw audio, unedited, which will include about 5.5 minutes of laughter and confusion. If you're wondering what that money gets you, that's really it, along with some coaching opportunities with us if you want them, and cool merch, and get listed on our webpage, and all sorts of stuff. Big thanks to Brett R., Tony S., and Artem K. for being our newest patrons. Gentlemen, I missed you all last week.
It's been a while since we had a 3-for-1 week for
Yeah,
patrons.
we missed you, Hat.
Yes, well, the
Last week.
episode was good. I enjoyed the wild content. I enjoyed being able to listen to Coin Concede without having heard it before. It was nice.
Yeah, well, you were missed, and it's a good thing that you did the editing.
Yes. Well, it came out fine, and the patrons or the listeners don't know this yet, but we actually recorded the bonus episode yesterday, and the last question on that episode, we finished talking about it, and I've still been thinking about it for like the entire day.
Yeah, I was I've been thinking about my bottom 2 ranking, one of those sets that we talked about. I've been thinking about that pretty much all day. I'm like, am I sure that's right? And then I'm like,
Yeah.
my arguments made sense. So
And the bonus
That's what
question.
you guys get for having solidified opinions, because I didn't think about it after the
it's just
episode.
like,
Yes.
oh no,
I
these
was-
cards were good,
no.
lol.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and so for those, it's not out yet, so you haven't heard it, but the bonus episode, the last question asked by Mad at Arms was rank the sets from most to least powerful. And so we obviously didn't discuss that whole thing because your time is valuable and we want to finish before next expansion comes out. And so we ranked the top 3 and bottom 2 sets in our each personal opinions, both pre and post nerf. And not going to spoil anything. But I will say that after that, the next episode I listened to is Velen's Chosen's episode about the wild format that Eve and Grant did as a twofer, because Rob has stepped off that show. We will miss him, but it was a good episode for the 2 of them for the first time. But then he discussed which order to buy the wild adventures in, and oh boy, I think that the R2 communities will have a lot to discuss after that episode comes out. So yeah, it's been fun. But how has life and ladder been for you all? I hear, Appa, I know you've been playing Wild. Botticus, I'm not sure what you've been playing. Why don't you tell us first? What have you been doing in Hearthstone?
All right, so I got into it just a bit on the bonus episode yesterday, but as I said, I've been trying this new thing where I kind of build my own deck that is not really in the meta, and I'm not struggling. I'm doing well. I got up to rank 1 before falling back down a few stars, but I'm playing Elemental Mage and starting to tweak it a bit. And the only downside is that every match I go into, I feel like I'm an underdog. Every single game I queue into, I'm just dreading whatever I'm playing with, and it kind of doesn't matter because I always feel like I'm not playing an optimal deck, and maybe that's just because I'm so used to playing tier 1 decks. So it's an interesting experience, but I'm doing well, so that's nice. And I forgot if it was this week or last week, but I played against a quest rogue that had Lab Recruiter in his deck and played Valera, and then I fatigued them out. And
Wait, what?
Yeah.
They had a card that
I guess-
shuffles more things into their deck, and they could play 2 of them every turn, and you won in fatigue.
Yeah, I guess they decided playing 2 lab recruiters in a turn was not as important as playing 2 of something else. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't 2 lab recruiters, so they added 3 cards to their deck, and then eventually I fatigued them out because now that they're 4/4s, it lines up really good against water elemental.
What happened to their Zola?
Oh no, they had Zola and
Because you just go literally infinite with that.
yeah, but they were fatiguing. They were vicious scale hiding plus Zoling every turn for once they were out of cards, and I beat them because my elemental deck has a lot of value in it, a lot of value. So,
but not infinite value, so your opponent basically said,
no.
this Deathstalker Rexar that I have, I don't want it anymore.
Kind of, yeah. No, it's even better if they just would have lab recruited their lab recruiter, I just never win that game ever. But they didn't, and
yeah.
I killed them because I got a lot of value from my cards.
I'm confused, but happy for you.
Yeah, so that game was sweet. But it was on mobile, so I didn't record it. But yeah, I'm playing against a lot of OTK decks or just combo decks. And when you're playing a mid-rangey, slow elemental mage deck, you don't have good matchups. That's not where you want to be. But I'm doing it because I'm trying something new and somehow still winning sometimes. Well, more than I'm losing usually. So I guess I'll keep doing it until I can think of a different deck to play. But I was playing Tempo Rogue for a while, and it just didn't feel quite as good. So that's where I'm at. That's what I've been doing, playing a lot of Elemental Mage, hovering around mid rank 2.
What about you, Appa?
I'm not playing a lot of standard, at least this past week. I have been for the rest of the month, but this past week I've just been focusing on wild because I want to really buckle down these next like week and a half until the month ends, because I would like to try and shoot for the wild qualifier thingy that top 100 gets invited to. But in wild, I got up to, I think, rank 2 5 stars or rank 1. I was like hovering around low rank 1 basically, and I started losing, and I kept losing, and I had a little bit of a bad run down to rank 4 3 stars is where I stopped. And I mean, tilt just kind of crept in there, and like I recognized it at the time that I was tilting, but I didn't really inject logic into the situation. I was just like, I'm gonna switch decks, I'm gonna counter what I'm losing against. Didn't work, never works. um, so I hit basically the floor of that drop at like rank 4 3 stars, and from there I was just like, I'm not having fun playing like the tier 1 decks in wild, because besides like Reno Lock, because their play patterns are like pretty boring to me. But I just didn't feel like playing Reno Lock. I don't want to play even Shaman because all of the games are very similar. Like I could probably win a lot of them because I'm pretty good with the deck, but it just gets boring after like 10 games in like a session. So I wanted to play something fun. So I put together Jade Shutterwalk Shaman, which I had been experimenting with before, but had a slightly different build than this. Um, and I've been tweaking the numbers a lot, trying to find like the right numbers of cards to put in, because it's a deck that's trying to do super fair stuff in a format that's like really degenerate. So I think the tech cards are going to like make or break the win rate. But right now I'm 16 and 17 with the deck. Um, and that's a lot with like play testing and learning how to play different matchups and stuff. Like initially, the deck didn't have Zola in it, but I found that against Odd Warrior, because you have Shutterwalk as like your big finisher that summons like 12 12s and up. Uh, one Lotheb isn't good enough because they can still flurry for 8 or brawl for 10, and then you're just out of gas. So I put a Zola in there. So in that matchup, you can just literally play to fatigue, and then you can go Lotheb Zola, and then you have a second Zola in the pool. So you Shutterwalk, and then they just can't do anything because all of their spells cost 10 more. So a lot of those losses were like growing pains, but I'm working on getting the numbers in the list right. And I think it has like a lot of potential, but I'm probably not going to worry about it for the rest of the season because I'm probably just going to play like tier 1 decks or like really really solid decks, which is what I started doing today. I switched to Jade Druid because Odd Warrior is really really popular right now in wild. And yeah, I wanted to be strong against Odd Warrior, which the deck basically can't lose to Odd Warrior if you don't draw horrendously. And then one of the deck that was also solid against Odd Rogue and just the other random decks of the format. So I'm playing the version of Jade Druid with Oaken Summons, Fandral, and then 2 Ironwood Golems as the Oaken Summons targets. And then I'm playing the Poison Seeds version too, because there's like random even locks and stuff sprinkled in that you just want to shrink their 8/8s into 2/2s. So I'm playing that. I'm 5-0 right now today, and I queued up against Pear earlier, and she was streaming at the time, which was funny. But she was playing Odd Rogue, and we had a kind of a close like early game, but then I ended up stabilizing with branching paths. And then right after that, I queued into Blister Guy, and Garrosh popped up on the other side of the board. I messaged him. I said, "If you're odd, I'm sorry." And he said, "Level with me. Are you Jade Druid?" I said, "Oh yeah." And then Baku triggered, and he conceded. He said, higher EV to just let this one go. And I said, "I'm sorry, dude. I do not like losing on Warrior." He's like, "It's all right. It's not your fault."
Yeah,
Totally
and
my fault.
the time cost of playing that game out, he's more likely to end up 1 star up by conceding that game and playing 2 more.
Yeah, like I think that matchup's probably in the range of like 20% for Odd Warrior. So I messaged him. I was like, "Yeah, I could still potentially lose, but like it's so unlikely that it's way higher EV to just say nope, gonna queue into Even Shaman and then Odd Rogue and just get the star back. It's all good."
Yeah. Seems
Yeah,
reasonable.
so that's been ladder for me. A lot of experimenting with Jade Shutterwalk Shaman, which I actually think has a lot of potential, and it's going to require a lot of work though to make it like good, because it is just trying to do fair stuff. So it needs the the perfect 30 basically, I think, to be a solid contender for ladder. But I'm leaving that for the rest of the month. Going to come back to it after this month is over. And playing Jade Druid right now, I might end up switching at some point, but I don't know. Jade Druid still feels pretty good. UIing people is nice.
Can I interest you in a wild deck? I had this idea. Holy Wrath, anything can happen. Paladin in wild. We get to play Shrivala and Molten Giants and Thakal, and then you play anything can happen, which makes your Shrivala cost nothing really fast. And you play Holy Wrath because you have 2 anything can happens, 2 Molten Giants, and Shrivala.
All right, so a couple things here. One, anything reducing Shrivala I don't think is all that relevant. The first one's usually a setup for the second, but if you're playing the second, they're dead. They ain't making it. I like the memes though, but where are we fitting in our removal and board clears? Because we got like 10 plus cards taken up by like just the anything side, and then we have 3 from Thakal, Shrivala, probably 2 Holy Wraths. It's like, yeah, I guess that's probably around like 18, 20 cards. I guess we can fit in some
Yeah, you
quality
can fit
pyros and
in
stuff.
Equality, Pyro,
Timeouts.
Acolyte of Pain, Timeouts,
Stop!
Consecrate, and the only thing you can't fit in, which is kind of an issue for a combo deck, is card draw. I found it's kind of important, but that was the idea I had, and I played a game with it today and won, but my opponent's deck had Chillwind Yeti in it, so I felt kind of bad.
The original Dr. 4 right there.
Yep.
Whenever you said, "Can I interest you in a wild deck?" I thought you were gonna hit me with the Divine Spirit Dragon Priest, which I also played a little bit of in wild and is really nice. I think that deck's underrated.
You're gonna have to send me a deck list.
Yeah,
later,
it's fun. It's a good one. However you remember playing it, it's that, except also with Twilight Guardian in it, so better.
Sounds better.
It's good.
Does it beat Odd Rogue?
I'm not sure of the matchups, but I feel like it's probably pretty good against Odd Rogue, because you have Potion of Madness, Dustbreaker's good. Henge Clan Thug can get awkward, but we can deal with that because we got 5/6s. I feel like the matchup's probably close to 50.
As long as it doesn't auto lose to Odd Rogue, then
yeah,
I'm interested.
I would kind of want to be the Odd Rogue in that matchup, because
I don't know how many Odd Rogues I'm going to see at rank 25.
Yeah, well, rank 25, it's a different world, but I feel like with the Odd Rogue, you go face, and then Dragon Priest gets to trade, and then every time that happens, you deal more damage. And
I think the matchup probably revolves around like Henge Clan draws, because like everything else except for specifically Henge Clan dies to Dustbreaker, and then if you land a Dustbreaker and just land that on an empty board, they don't have a weapon buff from Buccaneer, which they probably won't because you Potion of Madness that and their patches. Then the Dustbreaker gets to trade.
I forgot about how much I hated when that happened.
Yeah, I played the matchup like a couple games, and both games they played Pirate, and I said, yoink, kill him. I mean, like, Thug can get awkward, but I feel like that's probably like the turning point in the matchup. Like, if you can deal with a Thug or not. I mean, which Twilight Acolyte does. That one's pretty good. Welcome to Wild Concede, everyone, where we theory
Yeah.
craft matchups.
I mean, Dragon Priest and Standard was always behind in the aggro decks because you didn't have Deathbreaker, but having Deathbreaker changes things. As long as you're not in the paradigm of they play a thing, I play a thing, they go face, and I trade, if you're doing that, Oddrogue will beat you, but if you're clearing the board on turn 4 with a 3-3, that's better. So, I guess do that if you're a Dragon Priest against Oddrogue. I have not played very much this week. I meant to play today, and then didn't, because everything in my life was like 3 hours behind today, so if you're here watching live, I appreciate you coming an hour late. I did play in my THL match, and I won, but I am now concerned because that lineup had even Warlock, and that deck doesn't seem great, but I was able to eke out a win with it. And then also OTK Paladin. I guess I didn't have enough OTKs at the time. I only had 1 OTK. I guess I need 2 OTKs now. So, that's what Standard is like. We'll get into that in a little bit, but why don't we jump into the news?
All right, so this week in the news, one of the kind of more major things that happened that got a lot of attention on Twitter was APXvoid was disqualified from playoffs. He issued a statement as to what happened from his point of view. Apparently, he was very nervous in a feature match and kind of jokingly typed out a question to the person sitting next to him and accidentally sent that to an admin. He obviously feels pretty bad about it and doesn't seem like there's going to be any more repercussions for him as we know of yet, but yeah, before we knew everything, there was kind of a lot of hubbub on Twitter going out from the various pros about the situation, but it seems like a lot of them kind of ended up backing him up because he's kind of a pretty big pillar of the professional Hearthstone community. I'm kind of interested as to your guys' take on this. This is an interesting situation, and I saw a lot of different opinions on it. So, Appa, I know you always have very very strong opinions when when anything involving cheating is in question. So I'm interested to hear your take on this whole situation.
I kind of want to let Hat go first because I want to process what he has to say too before I dive into it, and I'm sure I'll ramble for a little bit.
Yes, the age-old tactic of let's let Hat go first and say everything, and then I'll pick the parts I like. Well, I got you covered, buddy, and I'm gonna go next level here. After you're done talking, I have another thing to bring up. I'm calling first seas and last seas.
Sounds good.
It's great. It's gonna be great. Okay, so 1, cheating bad. It's not the end of what I have to say, but cheating is bad. And I'm not going to say this was cheating, but I'm going to say this looks enough like cheating that it needed to be DQ'd. And I'm going to say that I am certain that part of the reason why this happened the way it did is because of Roger and Chaxi. Because what Roger and Chaxi did was worse and was punished, well, equivalently. I would say that it probably should have been punished more. And the Hearthstone esports team knows it's under a microscope. But second of all, you can't do this. And it was really visible, and you can't have your top players acting in a way that undermines the competitive integrity of your game, and there are already plenty of allegations that Hearthstone has a lot of cheating going on, in particular co-oping, which it probably does. Honestly, probably does. So you can't have this kind of visibility. Do I believe APXvoid that he was nervous and he typed to another person at the event? He had a question about a matchup? Yeah, I believe him. Is there a really fuzzy line about when you can ask for advice? Every Magic tournament I went to, in between rounds, I would swing by the table my friends were sitting at and be like, what do you do in this matchup? It's a normal thing to do. And really, I don't think that competitive Hearthstone exists without cooperation. Pelletire had a really great thread on Twitter about it. That competitive Hearthstone is cooperative. Players are always testing ideas with others, relying on each other's experience. And during an event like playoffs, there is a couple of minutes after the pairings are out during which you can discuss with other players which ban you think you should make, and use that time to ask a fellow player about a matchup you're less comfortable with. It is an extremely common practice. It's currently happening. What he did is not significantly different than that, just the time, the place, and the visibility. Was it a mistake? Yeah. Should he be disqualified? Yeah. Should we shame him? No, probably not. And Board Control posted a different thread, and we take a deeper look at the rule. And everyone agrees APXvoid needed a DQ here. But did you know, because I didn't,
Including APXvoid. He agreed with
Yeah.
the disqualification.
Yep, he said he had to be DQ'd. He didn't make excuses for his behavior, just said what happened. But Board Control said, and I did not know this, when you're on backup stream, you are asked to play in online mode with open spectate, so the admins can come in whenever they need to and don't have to wait for you to invite them. Because when you're in closed spectate, you know you can invite people. The main stream match, they're closed spectate and they invite. But in open stream, or in backup stream, they don't want you to have to interrupt your match to invite people. So they say you play as though you were online with open spectate. Literally anyone on their friends list could go in. Any person could go in and message you information. Does that count as DQ? And Board Control said, I've had to kick people numerous times from my spec mid-game, which is a bigger distraction than having to invite to avoid the possibility. Second, players can alt-tab to check deck lists between games. What if you tab into a messenger instead? By going this hard against this behavior, they're just encouraging players to cheat better. And if someone wanted to gain a competitive advantage in this way, it'd be easy enough to do it without getting caught. And with a penalty so harsh, says Board Control, you would think there would just be more put in place to prevent the crime. Now, I am not making excuses for APXvoid here, and I think the DQ was justified, as does everyone involved. But with a little bit of the pro insight here, there's a lot of information that I think just we weren't privy to as non-stream competitors. This seems like the sort of mistake that could be made often enough that I would not be surprised if Blizzard needed to do something long-term just to make this experience a little better, especially with people going to secure venues in order to play and yet still have this kind of ambiguity. I'm not making excuses for APXvoid. What he did was, I mean, honestly, they had to DQ him because otherwise the look on competitive Hearthstone would be so bad. And if they did more, I would be upset, but I would get it. Now, it would be an overreaction because they underreacted to Roger and Chaxi. But I think that you need to come down hard on this stuff. And also, props to Ray C for bringing this up and publicizing it and being a voice for integrity on social media, because he brought this up and he said, this is what happened, this is what I know, and made sure that it was not an issue that got swept under the rug, and that I appreciate. Appa, your turn.
I agree with that too. Real quick before Appa
Okay.
goes, I just forgot what I was talking about, so never mind. Go Appa.
So, to put all of this in the proper lens, to view it through the proper lens, we basically need to know exactly what happened and when, because the timing window, quote unquote, is like what people are kind of focusing on when they're discussing this on Twitter. At least that's what I've seen a lot. But basically what happened is APXvoid got chosen for a feature match, and Frozen was sitting at the table next to him. Frozen was the other player referenced in his tweet longer. And so they did bans and everything, and they were in the Decklist challenge screen. He was waiting to queue up the game because you have to wait for the casters to do their whole intro spiel before you can start. And then the admins say, okay, go. And then you get into the game, then they can start casting. So they were sitting there waiting, and he pulled up chat basically to, it was to the spectator account, the HCT spectator account, and all he wanted to do was use the chat box. So what he said was, do I play hard for fatigue in the warrior matchup? Hoping that Frozen would see it and either like confirm or tell him no, like either say yes you do or no you don't, which that's not okay. And basically that's what happened, and he accidentally hit enter whenever he like pulled up the chat and actually sent it to the spectator account, and then they saw it and they were like, wait, what? Excuse me? So then they investigated and then they DQ'd him for this. And what happened here is, I don't think there's a gray area at all. I think this is just absolutely cheating. I know most people have come to that conclusion, but there have been some people that I've seen that are like, I'm not even sure this is cheating. Other people do it. The other people are cheating also. This is cheating. If you sit down, so if to be fully transparent, I think a lot of my rules focus comes from when I played Magic, and one of the big things in Magic was, like, if pairings go up and you're around your friends, you can talk about stuff, but like the second you sit at the table, you cannot have any outside assistance at all. So like if you ask the person next to you for anything that wasn't like, hey, can I borrow your pencil, or like, can I borrow a die or something, like if you asked them anything that pertained to the game at all, that was a rules violation. That was cheating. And it's not a super blatant or like really offensive cheat or anything like that, but it's still gaining extra information that is outside assistance. So I think my background from playing Magic tournaments really influences how I think like things should be going in a tournament. And I don't even know if this is like technically the rule in HCT currently, if you're not supposed to like talk to people about the matchups like while you're sitting at the for the round. And I mean, I would assume that that was the rule, but yeah, this APXvoid, he knew what he was doing. Okay, like his Twitlonger kind of feigns some ignorance here. And I will say that APXvoid has been playing in events long enough that he knew what he was doing was not okay. Like I think the fact that he kind of implies that he didn't know that this was like against the rules, or like I mean, I've seen a lot of people also be like, this shouldn't even be like against the rules. It's like people like what Pelletier was saying, like it's a cooperative game. Okay, yep. You prep together, you consult on deck lists, you have a testing group usually, like any other card game. But what you can't do is get outside assistance in the match. And this is outside assistance in the match. That's not okay. APXvoid 100% knew what he was doing was not okay, whether he knew it was specifically against the rules or not. And I think that's, I think the kind of spin he tried to put on this Twitlonger like is a little bit disingenuous, and I don't like that. But I mean, the cheat isn't egregious enough to be like, oh, DQ him, like ban him for a while. Like he asked something during a match. Like it's a very like small and usually insignificant rules violation, but it's still a rules violation, and I applaud them for DQing over a rules violation. And I think they handled this appropriately, and I think that's fine. I think this is definitely getting more attention than it usually would, partially because APXvoid's a popular streamer and personality, but also because the Roger and Shaxi stuff just happened, and still not okay. What happened with them? The fact that they invited the All Stars makes me so mad I want to throw up. But as for the spectate issue that Board Control brought up, I think a very simple solution, which would cost nothing from Blizzard, it would be to give each venue either 1 or 2 unlocked accounts for if there's multiple players playing at a venue on stream. You give both of them an unlocked account and just basically copy and paste the deck lists in before the match. That way, it's like all the right deck lists. You don't have to have spectator on and all that be an issue, because it could just be an unlocked account that only they know like the battle tag for. And you would also get sweet gold decks and gold cards, which would be good for viewership because they look awesome. People want those, which would lead them to buying more packs, etc., etc. But I think having unlocked accounts for HCT sponsored events makes a lot of sense. For smaller events, doesn't make as much sense because it's Blizzard's thing. Like, they don't have to give out this for stuff like, I don't know, say like DreamHack or tournaments like that, like not Star Ladder. What is it? The stupid community one that was
Seed Story?
Artifact recently. Seed Story, yes. So like not stuff like that, but like for playoffs and stuff like that, I think unlocked accounts should be implemented for each venue, because they are supposed to be like Blizzard sponsored venues. So I think that would make sense and kind of alleviate that sort of concern. But yeah, everything else cheated. I don't really like the angle of the twit longer. I understand he was just explaining his actions, but comes off a little defensive and disingenuous to me. But
Yeah, also the whole it was a question that I already knew the answer to.
yeah, that's I'm just
that
not
part,
I'm
that's
just
that's
not
irrelevant. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you shouldn't be. It doesn't matter if you already know the answer to the question. We don't know that you know the answer to the question.
He also
I'm
used the
not-
phrase, "I didn't know what I was doing at the time," which
Yeah.
I understand a professional that is caught in this kind of scandal and has to reevaluate their career path because of it. I get that is a serious thing and that he was probably under duress when he wrote the twit longer and probably really anxious in the moment. But taking the position that you didn't know what you were doing is hard to buy into. And I don't want to seem
Also-
unsympathetic, but also I'm a little unsympathetic.
Yeah. The other thing that I'm not saying he's wrong about, but the one thing that's kind of weird to me in the twit longer too is he was talking about his team, the Pittsburgh Knights, which is what he was on. And he was saying that his contract had ended with them like before the playoffs started, which doesn't make sense to me, because like they literally tweeted out before playoffs like, good luck to our Hearthstone player APXvoid at HCT Winter Playoffs, and then they made some mage pun in it. And I'm like, okay, if your contract was up, you would have posted that you're exploring options, because that's what professional esports players do. And the team that you are no longer signed under would not be publicly drawing attention to you. Like, that doesn't make sense to me personally. But yeah, I mean, everything else I feel like I've covered. I don't want to like beat this dead horse, but yeah, there's some bits of this that feel disingenuous to me. And as Hat said, doesn't want to seem unsympathetic, but I'm fairly unsympathetic.
I want to come back around to something else. And this is actually a tweet longer from Pathra from January 4th, actually. A few weeks back, I think we talked about it on the show. I think with Edelweiss, because this is right after WSOE. And also right around the time of the Ellie stuff in Overwatch, which we didn't cover on the podcast because we all have weak stomachs.
Oh man.
And that was a nauseating experience. To give you the super duper short version, if you were unfamiliar, a female player who was previously unknown, did really, really well on the Overwatch ladder, was signed to a team, was doxxed and pressured until she resigned from the team, then was found out to be a male player impersonating a woman the whole time, and then the male player in question said it was a social experiment. And there was question afterwards as well if the team, which had members that had made misogynistic comments in the past, had set this whole thing up to devalue women in esports. As the shortest version possible, if you wish to dig any deeper, feel free, but it is not a happy place. This is not a happy story. Nobody looks good in it. And Pather posted this twit longer about the accusations that she had faced, that some players had said when women do well in the Hearthstone scene that U.S. pro male players are playing on their accounts.
Oh man, Magic Amy, holy crap!
Yes.
It's coming back.
So,
Hooray, please.
So there are allegations that Pather comments on in this tweet longer, saying that people are co-opting their way to high ranks, and she says this is something that happens in Hearthstone. Everybody does this. Nothing wrong with co-oping Hearthstone. Many guys do this on stream and off stream. By the way, I remember doing a few co-ops with APXvoid on stream, late 2016, and it was people that were questioning Pathra started questioning all of my achievements, saying they weren't by my own doing. It was a form of bullying. Not only was that really disrespectful to me and all the women who have faced stuff like this, but I don't get how they could disrespect a player like APXvoid for thinking he would do something like that. Now, there's a lot of subtext that is added here because of this incident, but the interpretation that I'm choosing to take from this is that the assumptions that were leveled at women, that were trying to undercut their competitive integrity and ability, are actually applicable to many men, if not all players in the Hearthstone competitive scene, that co-oping is kind of a fact of ladder play, and in many cases, not just tournament prep, but maybe tournament play. Maybe this goes on at other events, at other venues, in other avenues. Maybe this goes on for matches that aren't on stream, where people can't accidentally message observer accounts. And it goes to show the allegations against women, the part that has no merit now isn't the allegation part, it's the against women part. If you make these allegations against pro Hearthstone players, we're learning they might have merit, but not against any subset of pro Hearthstone players, against all of them. Because we don't know, and it looks like this may be the sort of thing that can happen easily, can avoid detection very easily, and that there aren't safeguards in place to prevent. And it really made me think, APXvoid being in this particular tweet longer, I think, was just more of an absurd coincidence for this point, more than anything else. I'm not bringing this up to try and throw shade on either of the people involved here. But it's interesting that the person that was accused of having someone else play in her account was actually assisted by a person who was fairly well regarded, who then ended up getting the external assistance, or at least asking for it. I found that really bizarre and hard to parse, and it made me really think about who is accused of things versus the reality of things, and the difference between those. It kind of played with my mind a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
There's a lot to unpack in this whole conversation. Yeah,
It's deep.
It was very jarring to see, because I've always felt like I don't know, APXvoid is very respected, and I mean it's not like he was like, hey, somebody like spectate my entire game and tell me the plays. It's like he was asking a stupid question at the start of a round, got caught, DQ'd. Like, okay, that's the end of it. But I feel like downplaying it as less than cheating, or like trying to upplay it more than what it is, or like both wrong ways to go. Like, cheated, got DQ'd, don't like his tweet longer, feels kind of disingenuous, but it is what it is, and now we're here. So
Yeah, and what I was going to say earlier when Hat was talking about if any extra punishment comes upon APXvoid, I was saying I was going to say that if anything more comes upon him and does not come upon Shaxi and Roger, I would be very, very upset. But either way, we have actually a couple other news items that are also more twitlongers. The first one is in regards to Ike, who qualified for the World Championship this weekend. Wait, no, he qualified through America's.
He qualified
for the next step.
Yeah, for the what is this? Spring champs?
no, this is
champs. No, he did qualify for
champs.
Worlds.
No, he qualified
Winter
for
champs.
Winter champs.
Yeah, winter champs. And then if you top for that, you get
top 4 at America's playoffs.
Yes.
Seasonal playoffs send you
Go to the
seasonal
Winter
champs.
champs, And
top
then
4 at seasonal champs and Yuta
yes,
Worlds.
I was confused and I am unconfused now. Because also the World Championship, the date was announced for it, and it's April 30th. So we have no idea if it's going to be the World Championships of this year in next year's standard or in this year's standard.
Either way, he had a twit longer about a condition that he's been suffering from, and kind of how Hearthstone has improved his life a great deal, and what Hearthstone means to him. And it was just kind of a really thoughtful and nice twit longer to read, and I'm very happy for him. Ike's kind of one of those guys that is enjoyable to watch stream, and he does things a little bit differently than a lot of people, and so that's always fun to watch. So it's really good to see him get success and get a lot of love for everything he does for the community. I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
I've never interacted with Ike personally. I don't think I've ever actually watched him stream, but that's true of most players. I don't watch a lot of streams, but he's always seemed like the nicest dude ever. Like, everybody always has good stuff to say about him, but I've always been super jealous of him because he's better at Shaman than I am. And basically any player who's just straight up better at Shaman than me, I'm just like, damn you and your skill.
He is
Yeah.
such a good deck builder. When I think
he's-
Ike, I think just master deck builder that finds ways to play these decks that work.
And this is why I'm jealous of specifically Ike, because he's better at Shaman than I am, and he's better at building Shaman decks than I am. And I'm just like, no, stop it.
It's not the Highlander Appa. It's okay. There can be 2 of you. It's
No,
okay.
I know. That's just some personal stuff I'm like trying to get over, just in terms of feelings of inferiority in the game. But that's a whole different discussion. What is the discussion is Ike qualified for champs, and that is super awesome because he's been like grinding for a while. I think his breakout performance was the dream hack that he didn't drop a match in, which is insane. So I'm happy to see him have a breakout performance on the HCT stage, and the other members of the top 4 are insane as well. Bloodyface did it again. Excuse me.
Back to back.
He did the ties. He did it.
Yeah, it's Bloody Face, Hunter Ace, coincidence? I think not.
I don't.
Are they the same people?
Just when I start to think that I'm like getting good at Hearthstone again, people do insane stuff like this, and I'm just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm a toddler. I'm just a toddler in the Hearthstone universe. These people are playing 3D chess, and I'm over here going 4 + 4 = 8. To dis trade, that's a 5-1. That's a 1-2 to kill each other, and they're just like back-to-back playoffs, and I'm just like, how are y'all so good? What the heck? But yeah, congrats to Ike. After reading this, like, even more of a stand-up guy. It's nice to see. Nice to see the stand-up people in the community break out instead of the Rogers and Shaxies get rewarded. So
Yeah, I mean, this twit longer was just nice, and there was no drama. It was just thanking people. It was great. It was nice. And Ike is funny. When he's shouting out Blizzard for making an awesome game, he's like, "So thanks for making Hearthstone, Blizzard, but like no more Death Knights, please." And
Good luck with that, by the way. Good luck with the. I'll see less Death Knights. That'll happen, but no Death Knights.
No, we get hero cards now.
Well, yeah, we're gonna have 0 Death Knights come
Yeah,
rotation. in
fair.
Standard.
All right.
Yeah, and the 3 hero cards that are legal in Standard, I think they're all reasonably powered.
Also, Ike was one of the first people to put 2 in a deck.
Yes.
He was,
Into
like, the
Ike
first
Shaman.
person- Yeah.
Which, yeah. And that deck also...
Really, how much can he complain about Death Knights? Really?
He put Thrall and Hagatha in the same deck. That's a little different than a lot of other options. Anyways, Ike is nice. It was a really pleasant thing to read. I'm glad that we got it.
We do like Ike. So the next news item, a bit on the downturn again. It looks like Feno is going to be taking a short break from Hearthstone. And honestly, after reading the twit longer, can't really blame him. It was kind of a rough end to the year, and I feel for the guy. And I mean, it's
kind
still
of rough. It was devastating for that dude.
I mean, he's still got 2-star master, right? He's
Yeah.
still 2-star master is still insane.
I think the biggest beat out of this scenario is the fact that he was 1 point off and he resigned himself to being 1 point off, and they were like, "All right, these don't count anymore. Your points are what your points are." And he's like, "Okay, cool. I'll go to China then and play in this tournament for the monies." And they're like, "Oh, JK, HCT Philly counts." And he's like, "What? Come on."
That's
That one was the rough one that got me.
Yeah, but feels bad for Feno. Although he does make a note in there that he is not quitting Hearthstone. It's just going to be a short break, and we do hope that he returns because he's obviously just clearly one of the best players in the world, and getting to watch him play is always a treat. And yeah, we just hope that he enjoys a bit of a break while we're in somewhat of a Hearthstone lull for a bit, and then he can come back even stronger. Let's see. The next news item we have in here, Hat was giving me crap for because I did not initially have it in the show notes. And I want to preface this by saying I am not against puppies. I'm very pro puppies, but I don't get it. I
What's
don't
there to get?
understand. It's what is I.
You
It
liked
says-
Ike
okay.
talking about happiness, but you don't like a literal page of cute animals.
Okay, but I don't know what is the purpose of other than pictures of cute dogs.
You answered your own question.
You open the link, and the first thing, administrative, Kippen, small husky, SMOL, small. You get it. Now you just get it. That's all there is to get. It's just dogs and cats. Toby, the next one. Look at him. He's so cute. That's it. It's just
You're looking
you
too.
never- Okay, look. At least 10 of the accounts I follow on Twitter are just animals. Just videos of animals doing things.
Is one of them emergency pugs?
Yes.
Yeah.
One of them is bunnies, and I just liked a post that was just a bunny running around a living room, and then he rolled over because he was comfortable. That's it. That's all there is to get.
There
It's
was
just
one I
cute
saw the
animals.
other day where a bunny repeatedly jumped into a trash can. Like there was no
Yeah,
trash in the
it's-
can. It was just a little trash can, and he was like,
What are
"I fit in
these
here."
Descriptions. I don't.
It's just visual animal therapy.
It's just a nice thing.
Also, click on this link. They're adorable.
Gary works on Hearthstone business things. He is one shrewd business dog. Where's the downside here? Where's the problem?
Literally all upside. Also, Gary is like a very large Shiro.
Yes, extremely large. So, for those that are listening at home and wondering how Botticus can be so heartless, we are too, but this is a link to a Play Hearthstone news article called PUPdate, where it's a list of the dogs and cats owned by members of the Hearthstone team with cute bios, and there's no other content here. So if you enjoy happiness and
Why
literal
didn't they
puppies...
say that? They said these are all the dogs and cats that work in the thingy.
Were you
at
expecting
Blizzard.
were you expecting in the works too? What were you expecting? By the way, we're
I
finally
just-
announcing
I
tournament mode. No, this is better. This is better.
I just expected I expected them to be like, "Hey, here are some dogs and cats of people that work at Blizzard. Take a look at these cute pictures."
So
Not,
your issue
"Hey,
is that they
this
called them
dog-"
employees? That is your issue
Yeah.
with this article?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's nonsense.
That
What? It doesn't make sense. I don't get it. That's what I'm
Botticus-
trying to say.
Botticus is
mad
going to go on
because-
the Blizzard tour, and he's going to get to the business department. He's going to be like,
Where's Gary at?
"Where's Gary? I want to speak to Gary." And wow.
Yeah. I don't know if these dogs actually just go to work with them every day. They have little desks or chairs or something.
So your issue is that this made you interested in these animals' lives, and you're mad about that.
Yeah, because they don't actually tell me anything. They just say lies. It's like cute picture, lie about the dog.
I don't know if we're gonna. Bot, you can keep talking as long as you want. I'm gonna mute. You just keep going, and this is gold. Title of the episode: The Dogs Are Lies.
I don't have anything more to say.
I think you said enough, buddy.
Okay. Let's get into the last news item. So, it has been 5 years since open beta, and this was a Reddit post that was linked to us by how do we pronounce his name?
Si Jihong, who is a regular in every Hearthstone Discord that I'm a part of, including our own, a proud patron, a prominent Reddit poster, and a Hearthstone community fixture.
Yeah, so he just posted that as of 2 days ago, it has been 5 years since open beta in Hearthstone, and just posted a few little tidbits from that day, and is going to be adding some more information on there. So we have a link in the show notes if you want to check out some information about the origins of Hearthstone when it was first released into open beta. I think that's about it for the news. Now that everybody probably hates me because they think I'm anti-dog for some reason. But yeah, let's get into
Oh
some
no, I
news.
want to dispel that right away. We've all learned the truth that your issue is that the
Botticus-
article was too literal.
He is anti-animal fiction. Can't have it.
No.
Airbud can't have it.
Listen,
Delete it.
hold on. Dog employees? I'm not opposed to this idea. I don't think this is a bad idea. I do think productivity would drop significantly in most offices with CDOs, Chief Doggo Officers, whatever you want to call them. I do think that productivity would be lower, and also that they don't have thumbs, so they can't type as fast. But other than that, I'm in favor of this idea. I'm surprised that was the thing you were mad about.
I think also the weirdest thing is that I follow dog rates on Twitter, which is also just nonsense about dogs, but there's cute puppy pictures or videos, and I get that, but I didn't get this, and I don't know where the disconnect happened. Maybe because one's tied too closely to something I'm passionate about, but here we are.
So you're mad. You don't get mad.
Don't try and unpack
see...
this. Don't you do this.
Nope. Hold on. It'll take 2 seconds. I'm lying, but so you're okay with, because I also follow We Rate Dogs, and if you don't follow it, it's one of the best parts of my day. You're okay with them saying 13 out of 10 good boy for every single picture, just going above a 10-point rating scale, 13s, 11s, 15s, whatever. So you're okay with that, them just breaking math, that just not being a thing. But you're not okay with Gary.
Yep. I'm okay with Gary. I'm not okay with Gary working in the business department. We need better employees at Blizzard right now.
Are you
all
concerned?
The good ones.
Are you
I don't
concerned?
know how we haven't lost all these good boys.
Botticus, are you concerned that he doesn't have his dog Gree?
I'm muting. Go ahead.
Oh my god.
It's the grand tournament!
This is officially the best episode we've ever done, especially if you include the raw audio. This is something. This is something. Well, welcome to tournament results. I cannot promise it will be better entertainment. In fact, it almost certainly will be worse entertainment than what we've just gone through, but that is no small feat. So, it was America's Playoffs. Qualifying players, we talked about it already. Ike, Noblord, Bloodyface, and Bobby X. Noblord gets my nomination for craziest lineup, but Bloodyface is close. Top 8, Mrs. Nalgadan, Uchiha Sasuke, Killing All Day, and Starfruit made top 8 but did not qualify through to Winter Champs. We do have a tournament meta. Big thanks to Steve for breaking this down in his Decklist browser, which really makes my job a lot easier. This was not quite Hunterstone. Hunter was the most popular deck. There were 68 of them at the tournament, 42 Secret Hunters, 15 Cubes, 8 mid-range, 3 Spell. Priest was the second most popular class. 37 Mind Blast Control Priests, 19 Xerix Cloning Gallery Priests, 3 APM, 1 Mechathune. Remember that there were 3 APM in the entire tournament. Remember that. We're coming back to that. 56 Paladins. This is the real winner of this meta right here, is Paladin. And 23 of them were Holy Wrath, double OTK Paladin, which also includes the Uther 4 Horseman combo. 16 even Paladins, 8 Horse OTK Paladins, which does not include Holy Wrath, it's only a single OTK, 6 Eggs, 3 Odds. 40 Warlocks, 24 even, 8 Mechathune, 7 Cube, 1 Control, 31 Rogues, 23 Odds, 6 Quest, 1 Miracle, 1 Malygos, 21 Warriors, 14 Odds, 6 Quest, a Control, 12 Mages, 10 Big, 1 Odd, 1 Murloc, Geysa, you're a good person, 11 Druids, 4 Malygos, 4 Hakar, 2 Mechathune, 1 Togwaggle, remember that too, and 5 Shaman decks. And Shaman, there were 2 even Shaman decks, and 3 that were classified as Other, which I think means Peanut. That's the Peanut Shaman deck, right? Which is...
I like how you also just kind of skimmed over the 6 Egg Paladin. What the heck is Egg Paladin? Where did that come from? What is going on?
It's the Meat Wagon, Kangor's Endless Army, Mech Egg deck
Cube.
with cubes.
Yeah.
Yeah, how are people not talking about this? What is... But
Because it's
how?
not good.
Why?
I mean, it's fine.
Okay.
It's and
But
yes...
why did 6 people brought it? 6 people obviously thought it was good. 6 is a lot of people.
Or
Yeah,
I think...
Well, we saw a meta in Europe where the top performing decks were all just like the grindiest things in the world. So America's was super combo heavy, and then the 6 egg people brought it because they were like, nice big spell mage, make 8/8s, cube them, Kangors them back. And that's what their plan was, and then I'm sure they all just got Holy Wrath. So I don't think that one worked as well as they would have liked, but yeah, I think that was the reasoning there.
It just seemed so random to see. I didn't understand Egg Paladin when I first saw it, but it was there.
The crazy thing that means that you have internalized Holy Wrath Paladin as the most popular deck at playoffs as being normal. That's the crazy part. Because the 23 Holy Wrath Paladins in play at the most difficult America's tournament of this expansion is insane. Egg and Cube, we've seen that before. We know how that movie plays out. But the Holy Wrath universe we live in is the crazy one. Anyways, Shaman also not seeing a lot of play. 3 of the Peanut Shaman, or 3 other Shaman, and 2 even. Now the top 4, on the other hand, very different representation from what we talked about in the entire tournament. 4 players in the top 4 that all qualified. Bloodyface had Togwaggle Druid, Holy Wrath OTK, APM Priest, Quest Rogue. Bobby X, Cube Hunter, Even Paladin, Xerix Priest, Quest Rogue. Ike had the most normal lineup, Secret Hunter, Control Priest, Odd Rogue, Odd Warrior. Noblord had the craziest lineup. Hakar Waggle Druid, which has Hakar and Togwaggle. 2 OTKs are better than 1. And then also double OTK Paladin, and also APM Priest, and then Mechathune Warlock. He 2-0'd in the top 8, of course.
Yeah.
Every time I see Mechathune Warlock play out in the playoffs, it just looks bonkers good.
Yep.
It looks so good.
Well, the secret was take out the Void Lords and put in Corpse Taker and Cheaty Ankle Biter, which is totally what we all thought a month ago.
Yeah, one thing that I don't think we actually touched on when we were talking about Ike, but he just didn't have the right deck list for this tournament that he was preparing for. He submitted 4 lists whenever he signed up and got everything done on Battlefy, but then just didn't actually update the lists to what he wanted to bring. Had to bring old lists that he wasn't testing with and top 4 the event. Like, what?
That is next level, previous level. He submitted the level 1 basis decks, and everyone was on level 4, and he's just like, okay, dagger up. Top 4. Real quick. And it's worth noting there is no even Warlock in the top 16 decks, it actually performed super poorly. And Mind Blast Priest as well, Ike only brought it by accident, and he was the only player to really do well with it. It also did not perform well, whereas Quest Rogue clearly overperformed. APM Priest, I mean, we know it's a challenging deck, but it overperformed. Double OTK Paladin is definitely kind of the deck of the moment. And Cube Hunter was underrepresented, but was half the Hunter decks in the top 8 because there were 2, which is also, I think, not what we expected to see. So, it's interesting to see the change, and then APAC, there are more changes. Old Guardian posted a tweet recently about the changes between the APAC decklists and the America's decklist, and they are dramatically different. Let me bring this up, actually, while I have you all here. I should have had this ready, but I don't, so that's fine. Where are you? Thank you all for being patient. There he is. Okay, so the changes from Americas to APAC, there's a dramatic increase in Mechathune Warlocks, a dramatic increase in Clone Priests, Odd Rogues, and Even Paladins. Even Warlock is dropping like a rock. Odd Warrior, you definitely don't want to be playing Odd Warrior right now. And DK Paladin is really switching out for double OTK Paladin in a pretty major way. And so you're really seeing a heavy shift. Oh, and also Mind Blast Priests. There are 20 less Mind Blast Priests at APAC than there were at Americas. So we're in the middle of a pretty major meta shift, and then also a big uptick in Odd Rogue and Even Paladin as the format's closest thing we have to viable aggro decks, as well as big increases in heavy combo decks. Clone Priest, Mechathune Warlock, and Quest Rogue are all seeing a really big jump up. Kind of fascinating to see.
Yeah, all I heard all weekend were the casters saying how bad Even Warlock was. Every match that there was an Even Warlock, they're just commenting about how poorly it's been performing, how poorly it always looks on camera, and yeah, I don't know necessarily how it went from almost an auto bring in so many matchup or in so many lineups to now is just almost always bad to bring, but here we are.
Well, the thing with Even Warlock is like it's a really strong deck whenever the aggro decks are fighting fair. So you can kind of plan around those, and then like the biggest thing people are trying to do is like do real fair things. So like it fights in the middle ground really well. It's like a really strong mid-range deck. And right now, like the meta has warped itself to being very combo heavy. And because of that, we see Even Warlock not really have a lot of good matchups because all of the combo decks are just going so far over the top of everything else that like they don't really care about stupid 8/8s on 3. Like they'll play like an equality and kill it, or like shrink ray a big board, or psychic scream your dudes, and then you have to spend turns rebuilding, and then suddenly you're dead. So it fights on the wrong axis, I think, for this metagame. But yeah, it's just a mid-range deck in a combo deck world without really any disruption. I think if decks, even lock decks, started to try and tech in demonic projects again, like they were like an expansion ago, there were some fringe lists playing a demonic project or two. I think they could probably do that and improve their percentages against unexpected field by a lot. But yeah, at that point, you're kind of weak to Hunter as well, which is not really a place you want to be right now, unless you're just banning it. But the problem with Even Warlock is it's weak to the Hunters, it's weak to the combo, so you ban Hunter or you ban the worst combo deck, and then it's just weak to whatever is left. So I feel like for Even Lock to be good again, you'd probably just have to have a ban Hunter strategy and then have demonic projects in there and hope those are good enough. But even then, that's fairly unreliable.
Yep, and it's Even Warlock's a mid-range deck that's good against wide boards, and wide boards isn't a thing in Hearthstone right now, unless they are a bunch of charging or rushing beasts that buff up a hyena sometimes. So it's kind of been interesting to see its fall from grace, and we're really seeing a format without viable aggro tools. Because this is a format, what you're seeing right here, the top 4 decks and the list of decks that lose to turn 1 Mana Worm are all the same. Mana Worm was kind of keeping this format from getting to this point where you could just play the greediest, longest term, uninteractive strategy. And there's just not really a lot of aggro decks to keep it in check. People are hoping on Hybrid Hunter, Even Paladin, and Odd Rogue are enough. And I hope they are. But as of right now, it seems like you can just go for endgame over everything else. And the defensive tools are just much better than the aggressive tools. So, we have a few highlights. And you notice I didn't say games to watch because I think we can try a little bit of a new format. It's going to be highlights instead of games to watch. I'm not going to do turn by turn. We recommend watching these games if you have the time. I will give you a quick 3 or 4 sentence summary. They will highlight either crazy comeback, an unusual board state, interesting game plans, or epic failures. And we're going to try and get 3 or 4 games a week. Just if you have the time, definitely go back and check them out. In some cases, the entire series are worth watching, but if not, we'll give you some quick hits. So, a game that's definitely worth watching in round 1 is Dog versus Fibonacci Game 5. And Fibonacci is kind of not having a great time right now. We talked about the fall of Warrior, but it's also the fall of Fibonacci, who played so poorly in round 1 that after his match against Dog, he dropped from the event. He conceded everything, dropped from the event, and said, I'm taking some time off Hearthstone. And his head just wasn't in the game. He missed lethal twice in this series, once in this game. Dog Xerix cloning galleried as Xerix Priest, and his opponent, Fibonacci, was playing Mind Blast Control Priest. And he had Cabal Shadow Priest, Mind Blast in hand, and Dog was at 16, and there was a 1/1 Vellum. So, the play was, yoink, Mind Blast you for 10, Mind Blast you for 10. That's 20. More than 16. Didn't happen. And then the following turn, Fib played a Twilight Acolyte without a dragon in hand. And immediately just head in hands. Not like this. And he lost the series that he had won on board. And he missed lethal twice to win the series. And he's taking a break from Hearthstone. So, unfortunately, it came down to that, and Dog actually ended up dropping from the event 2 rounds later because this was the only match he won. And Frodan's tweet was, come watch the first match from the best region in Hearthstone, Dog versus Fibonacci. And at the end of round 3, he said, this didn't age super well. So,
yeah, what you're missing from that also is that Dog also did not play that series particularly well.
No, I'm highlighting. It's a quick hit. I can't go in everything here. But it was...
I'm just saying that not surprised that Dog also dropped because he really did not play that series well and got very fortunate that Fib missed lethal.
Yep. It was...
I've never witnessed someone tilting into orbit, but watching this come from Fibonacci, the control warrior god, to I can't count to 20, I'm quitting Hearthstone for right now, I'm taking a break, can't play this event anymore. He lost the first round. That's it. He went 0-1 and said, no mas, we're done. That is how hard he tilted. Holy crap. That's crazy. I've never seen somebody lose first round and then just tilt out of the game they're playing completely. Oh my god. Yeah, go watch this round. It's good memes.
And that wasn't even, I think, that was tied for the biggest tilt of the event, where and this isn't even on my quick hits, but it's a quick hit, so we'll talk about it. When in the top 8, when Ike was playing against Nalgadon, and Nalgadon was down 0-2 and had an 11 mana Malygos in hand from a freezing trap and tried to coin it out. That might have been the biggest tilt I've ever seen. And then the following turn, he had a potential 11 mana kill turn with the Vivid Nightmare and Eternal Servitude and Velen and coin double Mind Blast for lethal, but he didn't have the coin because he tried to play an 11 mana Malygos. Not sure which one was the bigger tilt. They're both in contention. So anyways. By the way, Ike won. And,
Thanks for the clarity.
yeah. It's
My opponent didn't have a basic understanding of how the coin and maximum
well, okay,
mana
no.
works, so
My
the
opponent was
won.
super anxious and losing their last chance to qualify for
Yes,
HCT
yes.
in the top 8. Let's not undermine how difficult this is. It's
No,
super
no.
anxious. It's
I'm-
in retrospect, the concept is funny. The suffering of the person is not super entertaining, but the story is really entertaining.
Totally memeing here.
Yes.
Full respect to Nalginon. Very good player. But
Yes.
that
But come
was-
on, man. But
that
come on,
was
buddy.
funny.
Yeah. And what we saw with Fibonacci, I think, was really just burnout. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the case with both of those fellas that they've been playing a lot of Hearthstone for a very long time, and they are not the first pros to succumb to burnout. It's definitely a thing. So I don't know. It was interesting to see the fatigue on both of them. And there was, to be fair, there was a game in that series where Dog as the priest ended up with 2 Dead Man's Hand that he took from Fibonacci's Control Warrior deck, and that game was 50 minutes. Also, after that, I don't know if I would have seen Lethal either. Anyways, we have another quick hit. Purple versus Gallon Game 3. The game shows kind of how weak Even Warlock ended up being, because Gallon was up 2-0 and just had to win a single game with his Even Warlock, and Purple was playing Egg Paladin, Botticus' favorite deck. And Purple stretches his cards as far as he will go. He's under constant pressure from the very beginning of the game. He has to stabilize at 8 life against a Gul'dan Death Knight, including things as Equality, your 1 minion attack into 1/1 to stay alive, Tempo, Carnivorous Cube to stay alive. Uther DK barely enables him to hold on, but then he switches his game plan. He goes Umbra Cube on his Sunkeeper Tarim and says, my 2 3/7s will take care of this. And then Shirvala for Tempo. I don't need no Holy Wrath combo, because he had it. He had the Holy Wrath combo. But no, just play my minions and go face. And Even Warlock was not able to deal with the board after Purple was able to survive. So, really well played by Purple. And then Gallon gets reverse swept on Even Warlock, which is also kind of the story of the tournament. And the best series that you should watch is Bloodyface versus Noblord. 2 combo masters in a mirror match in the top 4. They both qualified. These are crazy games. And if you like watching Quest Rogue lose, do I have the series for you? Because Quest Rogue now is definitely not the way it used to be. It's not this boogeyman that once it gets the quest reward, you just win right away. In both of these games, Bloodyface got the quest reward in one game, in game 5 on turn 6, and lost to combo decks that literally have to draw their entire deck. Game 4, Bloodyface was playing double OTK Paladin, and Noblord is able to yo-yo his life total up and down, and he actually wins with the Horseman against Quest Rogue after going Shirvala, Zola, Shirvala, and saying, I don't need the Holy Wrath. I'm just going to clear the board, and then take the board, and then even though you got 4/4s, Horseman kill you. And in game 5, Bloodyface gets a turn 6 quest reward active, played against Mechathoon Warlock. But Noblord has the survival mechanics, he draws again, and there were 2 overdraws, where a single combo piece getting milled would have cost Noblord the game. In one case, it was 3 of 8 cards would have cost him the game. He got spared twice, dodges the burn, draws the deck, survives the Quest Rogue pressure, and Mechathoon Warlock was the faster combo deck that day. And Noblord beat Quest Rogue with OTK Paladin and with Mechathoon Warlock. Go watch that series. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah, Quest Rogue, honestly, doesn't really even function like a combo deck anymore. It functions like a mid-range deck that doesn't come online until like turn 6 or 7, and then it's like the best mid-range deck possible in the game. So like if your opponents are just like playing grindy control, like you're gonna lose 100% of the time to that Quest Rogue. But if they're like playing real slow and then go over the top of you with an OTK, you're gonna lose quite a bit. So that's why we don't see Quest Rogue a ton anymore. It's actually just a quite slow mid-range deck. But once it gets on, hard to beat if you're fighting fair. But if you're not fighting fair, you just got some stupid 4/4s.
Well, and we're actually seeing an uptick in APAC lineups bringing it, because Bloodyface talked about it in a tournament report that he wrote on Reddit. It's pretty good against Hunter, because a lot of the Hunter decks lean into Rexar now. You want a Rexar 4 you for 1 mana, as opposed to the 12 mana you need to spend for the first beast to get a Rexar. Bloodyface said that his lineup against Hunters, especially Cube Hunter, was very, very good with Quest Rogue, and I'm not surprised by that. So you're going to see a big uptick in Quest Rogue play this upcoming weekend, and it's weird how it's positioned itself, because I agree, it's just like a mid-range deck in many ways, but it's well positioned right now, and against a lot of the Hunter decks, except maybe the Hybrid Hunter and Spell Hunter, you're in a good spot. And there's not a lot of Spell Hunter, so it's really just Hybrid.
Yeah, if it can efficiently deal with the Spellstone out of like the two decks that run the Spellstone, then you're in really good shape. You can kind of struggle with that. I think it would probably struggle against Master Skull Hunter because they're much quicker. But against Cube Hunter, you just destroy that matchup if you know what you're doing. Like, I'd probably say like 70-80% in your favor if you hit like solid vanishes and glacial shards. It's so good against that deck. So he kind of leveled what people were doing, which was like bring the slower decks and like Cube Hunter, like the anti-control decks, because control just did well. So he was like, all right, I'll bring Quest Rogue. People are going to do that. It worked out.
And the last playoffs for the Asia Pacific region will be this weekend, January 25th through 27th. But there's another tournament coming up. It is very specifically not a league. It is a listener series that is not a league that Concede is hosting. It is in the Strike format. If you don't know what Strike is, you bring 3 decks, and your opponent brings 3 decks, and you ban matchups. So say I have Hunter and Appa has Quest Rogue, and I really don't want to play that matchup. I can ban that matchup. So my Hunter will never play Appa's Quest Rogue. But then let's say he has Odd Warrior for some reason, and he doesn't want to play my OTK Paladin. He bans that matchup. And so the matchups remaining after 4 rounds of bans, you end up with 5 matchups, and you play them, out, and that determines the best of 5. It's a really cool format. Signups are on our website.
What's the queue order? How does the queue order go?
I have no idea. Let me look. The queue order,
Botticus.
I think you have to play all 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you play all 5.
Oh, I guess it doesn't matter, because if you win the first, you win, or you play till somebody gets 3 wins.
Yep.
Because you would have to play all those matchups anyway, so it's not relevant if you get to queue a specific order of matchups.
Yeah, someone's going to win 3 every time, so the order doesn't really matter. The graphic on the website shows as it's alternating. I don't think it really matters. It's really all the matchups remaining are expected to be played, so the order can be just randomized.
Okay.
Because they're going to be played.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in that format, and I hope the listeners really enjoy it.
Yep. Well, and I signed up. You all are welcome to sign up too. I'm playing. I want to play some Strike.
Did not know that. Did not know I could sign up for these.
Yeah, well, there's not really a charter in the Not League handbook. We've just kind of been doing them. But I think that if we get first place, we're not going to do exhibition matches against ourselves, and we're not going to give ourselves some T-shirts. And I think most likely if I make the cut to top 8, I will probably let that trickle down. That's going to be my plan. I think that's a good plan for all of us. But
if I spike it, can I get sent a T-shirt? I still don't have one. I still don't have a Concede T-shirt.
Appa.
Anyways,
We'll talk after the show. We'll talk after the show. So we will not be proceeding to the top 8 if we make the playoffs, but we'll be playing, because why not? And And
Yeah,
Strike
this
is
format sounds sweet.
it's a fun format, and signups are on our website at coinconcede.com. There's a link that says Listener League signups. We are running this for sure on the NA server, and then if you want to play on other servers, you're welcome to. We expect it to be between 4 and 5 weeks. Signups are open to all, and the environment is super duper fun and laid back. People will be bringing competitive decks, most likely. Not everyone will bring super competitive decks. Now I might meme it up a little bit because I can. But be aware that even if you're playing against someone that is bringing competitive decks, every single person I've spoken to that played in these tournaments said that it's a really nice and welcoming environment. And because you're playing with your friends. We all get to play with our friends. And you can join our Discord at discord.coinconcede.com, and there's a listener series, not league, listener series channel where you're welcome to discuss this. And while you're there, feel free to poke your head into the Doggos and Puppers channel and question the business acumen of the animals contained therein.
I'm ready to play some Strike with Frog Tribal Shaman. Let's go. Let's do it.
And that is our tournament section, and it's time for Decksplanations, where we play everybody's favorite game show.
So Decksplanations this week is Got It or Goofed It. And what we do here is we go back and look at some of our predictions that we made during the set review of Rastakahn's Rumble in this instance. And we figure out the cards that we got right and the ones that we got not so right. And yeah, so we're just gonna go through some of these cards and talk about them. I know we highlighted some in a few separate shows, and we looked at some very specifically that we wanted to go over, and then at the end we'll just kind of go over our perceptions of cards that we didn't really dive into very much, but were kind of controversial all the same. So why don't we start with what we got right, and we go down the list from there. And let's start with you, Hat.
All right, so there's some guts. And I don't think that I correctly guessed in anything that I said was bad enough that I want to trot it out and be like, this card sucked and I knew it. Ha ha ha. That doesn't feel relevant because it's easy to just say every card sucks. But I got some guts. There's some good guts. Master's Call, got that one. Flash of Light, talked about that one. I gave that card a 4 out of 5 and because it heals you for 4 and it's a good card. Really like it. I learned from watching my opponent before I was playing OTK Paladin a couple weeks back that you Flash of Light your own minion even if you're at 29 because then Linessa draws you another card if you're playing Linessa. And then we took Linessa out of our deck to put in more Holy Wraths, and I questioned how I get back to my home dimension. I gave Springpaw a 5 out of 5. I do think it might be the best card in the set. It's pretty close, and I feel really good about that one. Timeout, obviously. Zul'jin, obviously, and Mass Hysteria, obviously, which I think is... Mass Hysteria might be the other contender for best card in the set. But feel proud of Springpaw.
Were you high on Mass Hysteria? I don't remember. It was a while ago, but I don't remember anybody saying a lot about it except me saying it was either going to completely destroy the board or it was going to do nothing. And that's typically what it does. Either destroys the board or kills everything except like one minion.
Almost every time I play it, it's just 1-for-1 target spellstone. that's what it does for me.
Yep, it's I went by the Hero Power team. They have a community ranking sheet which I really like doing, and so I filled that out. And I looked over my ratings, and I gave Mass Hysteria a 4 out of 5, as in not format defining. I can't wait for this to rotate out, but makes decks possible, not because it exists, but as part of a strategy. And I think that's really where it landed. And I thought it was going to be good. I don't think I knew how pleasant it was going to feel to play and just watch all the things my opponents work so hard for smack into each other and be dead, because it's a really great feeling, and I enjoy it and would wholeheartedly recommend it. But yeah, I thought it was going to be a powerful card, and I think it's gonna be played for a while. What about you, Bob? What did you think was
I
good
agree.
that you got? What were your guts?
Okay, so I feel like I was relatively high on Crowd Roaster, and it's not seeing ubiquitous play, but it's seeing a good amount of play in the control decks, and I think it's just going to start seeing more and more play as it goes on. So I was pretty happy that I feel like I got that one right. Also, Mass Hysteria, I think I somewhat correctly identified it. Probably maybe not as close as Hat was to it, but I think I kind of got that. And then Raiding Party, um, that card's pretty good, and I think I said it was pretty good. And turns out I think it's pretty good, even though it's not
I'm
seeing a ton of play in Standard right now. But in Wild, it sees a lot of play, right?
I'm pretty sure Raiding Party is the straw that broke the camel's back, and I'm pretty sure Raiding Party got Leeching Poison nerfed
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Kingsbane was degenerate when that came out.
So yeah,
Ugh,
I was
yeah.
pretty high on Raiding Party. But there were some other things that that I was very high on and did not pan out the way I thought.
Oh, don't worry about it, because we're getting to the goofed part of the episode where I for sure have more goofs than guts by a
Yeah,
large margin.
I don't really remember everything that I talked about, but those were kind of my big ones for me.
For me, the Goddets that I had, that a few of these I talked about on the show. Zul'jin, for sure. Um, I think me and Hat just have the Goddet. I think we all had it as Goddet, actually. I think Botticus was just like, I don't like the hero power, which was that.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
said that card was super good and it's gonna end the game within a turn or two of you playing it, so therefore the hero power doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. And then I mean, timeout. We're all seeing it. We're all seeing it now. It's not fun to play against. They go, halt, citizen, you violated the law. I'm taking you to jail. And then they go, four horsemen you, and then you've been brought to jail, or you get holy wrath. Yeah,
Yeah,
that one
and
is.
Holy Wrath, Banker, and Shirvala all remain standard legal. A lot of cards that are relevant do rotate out, but Timeout is the fuel that allows decks like that to exist, and I'm starting to the hairs in the back of my neck are starting to stand up a little, because when we're putting two OTKs in the same deck because we can, something is foul in the state of Denmark. But I do feel confident that I can go back about 3 or 4 episodes and say that I goofed on is Blizzard going to nerf Hunter? Because I said they will, because it'll be too boring and people will get sick of playing against Hunter all the time. Well, I don't know if that's what they're going to get bored of now. They're probably going to be more bored of dying.
So are we just going to replace Uther of the Ebon Blade with Tyrion so that we still have the 5-power weapon to do the full 30?
I
I
don't
could
know.
definitely see that happening.
If we end up in post-rotation timeout standard, I don't know what we're going to do, Botticus. I don't have an answer to that question. I'm not ready to say
I
that it's
just want
busted.
y'all to know Flash of Light, Banker, Shirvala, Holy Wrath, Augmented Elic, Shrink Ray, all still legal.
Yep.
Crystallizer? What's the... It draws 2 1-power minions?
Christology.
Crystology. And Novice Engineer, Acolyte of Pain, Wild Pyromancer.
No.
All still there.
No more Righteous Protector.
I looked like the Doomsayer when I saw this card. I looked like I was on the corner wearing newspapers for clothes with a tinfoil hat saying the sky's falling. But we see it now. This card is dumb. Immunity on your hero is not okay. It's just not fair. It's stupid. But to go along with timeout, I was actually kind of surprised at how well I got Shirvala, because I didn't talk about this on the set review, but I talked about this at the BlizzCon show that we did, where I played the floor demo that they had, which were pre-constructed decks, very low power, and I said on the show that I was very surprised at how good Shirvala felt, and if you could put it in a spell heavy deck, like, it'll probably be a really good tool. And for a while, it just saw play as a value card in the OTK Death Knight 4 Horseman Paladin decks, and now it's strong utility card / win condition. So it's even better than I thought it was, which I think is kind of interesting. But yeah, that card's been very good. One that I'm kind of got it on is Reign of Toads, because I mean it was in a deck that top 4'd playoffs. Like, the card is strong. It just needs a right shell to go around it, and still comparing this to Spreading Plague makes me want to throw up. But it's it's yeah, I mean, it's a powerful card. It's just very niche, and it hasn't seen a ton of play, and I don't think it will see a ton of play, but the power level's there on it, I think, and I think it was definitely underrated at first. Beta Darrow's another one that we talked about.
We got that one. I still remember your face when we saw that card. I still remember it.
Yeah, we were sitting at this burger place. We were watching the live stream on Twitch, because, you know, when you're at BlizzCon, you leave the site, go get burgers, and then watch the live stream on Twitch. And Beta Darrow came up, and Botticus was like, "Look at this," and I'm like, "Oh no, that's a 5/5 that kills a thing." Oh jeez. Yeah, that one was good. And then one I didn't talk about so much is Jan'alai, and I think I talked about it in the Discord more than on the show. But Odd Mage was very close to being playable before the expansion came out. It just needed like a significant payoff, and Jan'alai was and is that payoff pretty much to play the deck. It's also seen some play in Control Mage, but I mean, neither of these have been particular players in this meta. But even so, Jan'alai is still very powerful, and one of the reasons to play Mage. It's one of the big payoffs for either deck if it's in either one, except if you're Botticus and you're playing Elemental Mage and you axe it.
Don't put it in that deck. It's not good. You don't get to play it till turn 15. You don't get to fit in many hero powers when you're trying to curve out with elementals. Turns out.
Do we want to go into goofed its, because this segues perfectly into mine.
Let's get some goofs. Let's goof it.
Yeah, so a couple of my goofs, so I want to preface this by saying a few of my goofs does not mean I think the cards are bad. They're just not seeing play right now, and I'll kind of get into the reasons for some of that. And my first two are Elemental Invocation and Scorch. And I think Elemental Evocation, is it Evocation? Or Invocation?
I think it's Invocation.
Evo? Okay. All right. Elemental Evocation. I think the reason why that one, at the very least, is not seeing play, the elemental package that goes around it is pretty strong. Elemental Mage, like Tempo Mage, was an okay deck. It was very low tier, but like playable on ladder before the expansion came out. And Evocation gave it a little more juice to work with. And I think the reason why we're not seeing a ton of this kind of strategy using this card right now is because the format is super degenerate. And like, if your nut draw involves like innervating out a 4-drop that doesn't like kill them on the spot, like, it's probably not good enough. Doesn't mean the card's bad. It just means it's not the right environment for it. So definitely a goofed it on there. I thought we would see way more of it by now in the meta. Scorch as well.
Don't give up complete hope yet. I plan to in my Elemental Mage deck, and sometimes you need to Evocation a Duskbreaker.
Arcanosaur.
Arcanosaur. Sometimes you need to do it, and it's really good when you do. And sometimes you evocate out a Blaze Caller. That's also really good. But
and then to pair with the Evocation is Scorch, which is the other Elemental Mage payoff card, which is 4 mana, deal 4 to a minion. If you played an Elemental last turn, or is it in the same turn?
Last turn.
Okay, so if you played an Elemental last turn, it costs 1. So in the Elemental deck, a lot of the times it is a 1 mana, deal 4 to a minion, which is extremely powerful if there are other reasonably sized minions on the board across from you that aren't Shirval is getting bounced into the deck, but that's not the format we live in. So I think both of these together are goofed for me for the same reasons, but I would kind of expect to see a little more play after rotation, because I expect the format to be, I mean, less mechathune and stuff. But I don't know. Could be wrong about that.
Real quick before you move on, because this will just be part of my goofed it too, because I definitely goofed it on these cards, I think. But the biggest issue with Elemental Mage is you really, really, really want to play Book of Specters in this deck, and you don't want to play these two cards when you're playing Book of Specters, because you need card draw, you need to get to lots of elementals and the card advantage from it, and hitting a spell off a Book of Specters feels pretty terrible.
Yeah. The other one I had that I wanted to preface is Mojo Master Zihi, because I was very, very high on this card when it came out, and I still kind of am. But mostly because I've seen its impact in Wild. And so I think the issue with this card, I was thinking about this before the show, and I was kind of just trying to be honest with myself, like, if this card is an anti-combo and anti-control card, and this is the format we're living in, where you're playing two separate Paladin OTKs in the same deck, is Zihi actually that good? And I think the answer is still yes. And I think the reason, or one of the big reasons we're not seeing a ton of play in Standard with Zihi is because the aggro tools aren't really there. Because this is a card that wants to top out your curve and slam the door on them, very much like Lotheb used to. And we don't really have many of those strategies at all. I think the best use it gets in Standard is either in Even Warlock and Even Shaman, and sometimes Even Paladin as well, depending on the list you're playing. But I mean, I've seen the card played in Wild. It is quite good in Wild, because you play aggressive minions, you play a golem, and then a faceless, and then you Zihi them later in the game. They just can't win because they're under too much pressure. They're bottlenecked on mana. So I think the issue, and the thing that Zihi do, is top out an aggressive curve. Maybe not on curve on 6, but be that end game checkmate, basically. And we don't really have decks right now in Standard that want to do that, because the aggro decks are either odd or even, and the even decks are not really the aggro decks, they're the mid-range decks, and Zihi doesn't really work all that well in that environment. So I'm gonna definitely put Zihi down as a goofed it for me, because I was very high on him when he got released, but I think he is still very good, and I've seen enough of his impact in Wild to say that he's a good card, but not good in Standard right now.
Well, a lot of the cards we're going to talk about, one of the big reasons they were goofs is because we made the assumption that minions would matter ever, and they don't right now. The two cards, Appa, I'm going to spoil two cards in your list, Bloodclaw and Pounce, were designed to be good against Flame Imp. Who's Flame Imping right now? What 1-drops are there in this format? Springpaw and Firefly and Glacial Shard, I guess. And Kobold Librarian. Diremole.
This card looks terrible against all of those.
Yep.
Almost every single one of them.
And everything in Standard that has to do with minions mattering and interacting with them, I think is going to really underperform right now. I'm not sure I'm prepared to call any of these cards straight up bad, because we don't know while they're still just exploring Standard. They've been out for 6 weeks. And I stand by that when we are post-rotation, I want to do whatever I can do to play Sulthraze, because I think that card in a board-based universe is one of the best you can have in your stable. But we're not there. Right now we're in a Mechathune versus Holy Wrath universe. And so minions don't matter as much. Evocation and Scorch are about getting a faster minion and killing minions. Zihi is about topping an aggressive curve. There's no aggro decks right now. There's Odd Rogue and Hybrid Hunter, and that's as good as you get. And you can't really build a deck around proactively interacting with minions, assuming that people are going to be investing in the board and using that as their strategy, because value is infinite or irrelevant in so many cases.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the reason why I have Bloodclaw on this list, and the reason why I thought it was a good card is because it interacts very favorably against other minion decks when you're playing Odd Paladin. But that's just not what the format is. And in a lot of matchups, when I was testing this card out at first in Odd Paladin, so I'd play a Blood Claw, and it would just sit there because I would just have nothing to attack. I would
Yep.
just be like, I just wish this was pressure.
I mean,
not a stupid.
you can hit a Doomsayer, and then it's an 0/5, and then all your stuff dies anyway. So
Yeah, Pounce is on this list.
that card
Actually
is
not-
good. That card is good.
Yeah, so actually not for the I didn't have this in my initial like hype list basically for the reasons that Hat was basically referring to, because I didn't really think of this all that much as a like minion based card. I just thought of it with Auctioneer. 0 mana cards with Auctioneer, if they do anything relevant, are very, very good. And I thought of this in Mechathune Druid primarily because that plays Auctioneer, but we don't actually see a lot of Mechathune Druid right now. We see Hakar Druid. But in Wild right now, Elfandor just hit rank 2 with his own build of Togwoggle Hakar Druid, and it plays 2 copies of this with Gadgetzan Auctioneer. So I think it's actually good for the reasons that I thought it would be good. It's just a 0 mana spell with Auctioneer, and that's real, real strong. But we're just not seeing a lot of it in Standard right now. So it's on my goofed it list because I thought that interaction would be a lot more prevalent than it actually is. And then my last card is War Druid Lode because it's a Swiss Army knife, but all the knives that come out of the little casing are very dull. None of them are particularly sharp.
Can we also point out that Blizzard goofed Druid, and so you can't really talk about Druid cards right now? They gave Druid a backstab, and it's not good enough because they took away the most iconic classic and basic cards they ever printed for the class. Backstab's still a good card. But they goofed Druid.
Yeah, they printed some stuff, and they were like, oops. And then the stuff was not playable.
Well, and we're going to talk about archetypes in a bit, but Druid was not even a top 3 class pre-nerf, post-Rumble. It was okay. It was decent, but it was fighting for 4th or 5th place. There were other classes that were overperforming, and I think that if Druid was unnerfed right now, it would do well. And I'm not saying they did the wrong thing by nerfing Wild Growth and Nourish. I didn't say that. Don't say I said that. I didn't say that. But it wasn't at the same level as a lot of the other classes post-nerf.
I know what we need to do to fix this. Nerf Mana Worm again.
Mana Worm was the solution all along.
Mage. Make it cost 3 mana. It could go into Odd Mage.
I'm gonna be sick.
Like,
I don't feel good.
Just make it a 3 mana 2/3. And then it'll be a really tiny red Mana Worm. Then you put both of them in Odd Mage, you got Worm, Odd, Tribal. There you go. We're doing it. We're really doing it right now.
And I think if you look at the reason why aggro is so bad, the combination of I'm skirting everything you're saying because I don't want to give it any dignity by responding. Part of the reason also why aggro is so bad is so many mechanics in Standard right now are about taking cards out of your card pool. Kalaseth and Baku are fighting for good aggro tools. I want to play Rogue with Sap, but you don't even have anything to Sap right now. That's the craziest thing. There's, Cube Hunter isn't degenerate enough for this format, so we've gone around for Sap not being good enough, and let's just play Quest Rogue again, which is somehow the least evil combo deck we have left.
Katharina into Play Dead, get Undasta, and then Undast out a Devilsaur, while the original Katharina trigger pulled out King Crush, is not powerful enough for this format.
I mean,
currently.
That is so dumb.
I mean, Cube Hunter, it's still seeing play. I don't want to be hyperbolic to an extreme. There was one copy of Cube Hunter in the top 4 that qualified. I think it was Bobby for.
Well,
One copy of Cube Hunter, 6 copies of Cube Paladin. I
said it's not good enough. That's not the phrasing I should have used. What I should have said is that was one of the least powerful things you could be doing right now.
It doesn't kill your opponent immediately, so it's not quite good enough. And I was talking about this today, I think it was in Blister Guy's Discord, about how combo used to be you worked for it and then you got a powerful thing, but it usually wasn't kill you, it was usually at best 30 damage. Force Roar, 14-ish. If you got a Thaurissan tick, it was like 22. Freeze Mage, even with Ice Lance and Thaurissan, had to work pretty hard to do 30 in one turn. And there were no cards at the time that said you win the game right now.
I think if your combo decks are interacting unfavorably with tank up, it's a healthy combo deck.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when it's a fixed amount of damage, and I was thinking back to the standard Anyfin Paladin versus Control Warrior matchup, where the tech of how to play the matchup kept evolving, where at first, the second Anyfin killed you all the time, and then someone came up with, you save Brawl and Belcher for the first Anyfin, and you survive the second one if you have enough life, and then the Paladin started saving a True Silver charge to get through the second Belcher token to kill them. That's really cool. There's play there. There's interactivity. Not, I draw my entire deck and play Solarian to burn 3 cards because I don't care, and then play Mecha'thun, Bloodbloom, kill everything. I'm not going to say that there's no skill in the current standard format, but it's just kind of silly. It is just silly.
Tapping on purpose with 10 cards in hand. You're telling me that's a good interaction we want to have in the game.
Interaction's a strong word. Anyways, to get to my goofs, I've got a few goofs. And I will say some of these I guess too high, some of them I guess too low. Grawl the Shark, I think I guess a little bit too high. No, again, minion-based format, not really a thing. Maybe Grawl is okay, but seeing no play right now, and I thought it would see some play, so that's a miss on me. I gave Captain Hooktusk a 1. That is a straight-up mistake. That card is busted, stupid, really powerful. If anyone was playing minions ever right now, I would want to be Hooktusking people. And when you Hooktusk out Ticket Scalpers, it is disgusting. It is so gross. It is like Sprint with also kill all your stuff. It's really great. I gave it a 1. That is not the correct score. I goofed that. Seriously, and I goofed Raiding Party by giving it a 3 when it's way better than that. One of the better cards of the set. And somehow I underestimated the rogue cards, which makes me feel funny.
I feel like that's so common. It's so easy to underestimate rogue cards. Like Raiding Party looks so unassuming, but it is almost single-handedly fueling one of the best decks in Wild right now.
Yep.
Like aggro Kingsbane Rogue would not be a thing with just Shiny Finder. Like
no, you need to also have 3 mana, draw 3 cards.
Yeah, Raiding Party is. I think that's on a goof for me too. I didn't talk about it very much, but I did not think that card was that great when I got a spoil. I was like, okay, I guess it's a Kingsbane thing. It gets some dudes.
Yeah.
Man, it's pretty messed up.
When you can get a Kingsbane every time and things that make the Kingsbane better, that's really good. Yeah. And then Bog Slosher, I thought it would go in Shutterwalk and replace Zola. It didn't because you like the Zola value plan better, and you don't want to.
What is that card?
3 mana,
I don't even know
3/3.
what that card
It
is.
returns a minion to your hand and makes it, I think, costs 1 less, or is it 2
It's
less?
3 mana, 3/3 elemental, battle cry, bounce a minion, give it +2/+2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes there was an argument for playing that over Zola because you could like hit a chain gang.
Well, and
then
also
replay
it
and
would
it was big boy.
theoretically not fill your hand the same way as Zola could. But either way, it has seen 0 play ever. So I said it would see some, and it's seeing none ever. So that is a goof. Voon, I said Dragon Warrior was a question mark, but I thought that Voon would be the thing that made it work. Voon's fine. Dragon Warrior's fine, but it's not really a thing. And I understand that deck is trying to interact with minions, blah, blah, blah. You've heard this before. Voon is a slow, inefficient minion that generates incremental value in a way the rest of the format doesn't care about, and also in a way that even if the format did care about this thing, there are better ways to do this thing, and it's probably just play Mechs and Dr. Boom, and that this is just a slower way of doing that.
Yeah, I think the best Dragon Warrior deck just can't play Boon because it just plays Baku. It just cuts out that. It's like, we don't need this.
Yep.
Our value comes from this hero power. Tap, 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 tap. And then it just plays like the Lancer for an execute, extra removal, and then like crowd roasters, stuff like that. So
Yep, and
I mean,
Dragon Maw Scorcher, which deals 1 to everything, which Blizzard finally got rid of Odd Paladin, but then Scorcher isn't good anymore, and that was your best dragon. Crowd Roaster has overperformed. I do think that I talked about that in pretty measured tones on the episode that we talked about it. I wasn't sure about it. That card's good. That is an actively good card. It is a Firelands portal that is more offensive with what you get out of it. It's powerful. And I definitely underestimated that a little bit. And then the Mage Elemental cards. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just kind of springboarding off Crowd Roaster because I'm not sure whether or not to put that on my God or Goofed yet. Because I recognize that it was super powerful, but I think I was like really, really high on the card. And it's just the format that we're in right now where it's like only okay. So I don't know if I put that on God or Goofed because it was like real powerful, super about it, but it's like only all right now, even though it's really good. So I'm not sure where to put that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I remember saying is just that minions that also kill a thing when they come into play, which Baited Arrow is kind of the opposite of that, but same thing. But minions and spells that remove opponents' minions are good. They're just we keep missing on that, or not keep, but we have missed on that many times before, and we should just stop because they're good. and
we said this last time. We said this last time about, what was it? Dinomatic, and then before that, Mercspark Eel.
Yeah.
And we missed low on both of those two because they do the exact same thing that we said was good when it was done on Vilespine Slayer and Flametongue Kavu and Fire Elemental, and actually every single time this effect has been a thing.
Yeah. So I think we'll just continue to say that whenever we see a card like that, we have to evaluate it. This kills the thing usually and gives us a minion. It's probably good, and that's probably should just be how we look at stuff.
Like the floor on this effect is like Hungry Crab.
The floor is Blowgill Sniper.
Oh yeah,
which has seen play.
That's not real life.
It has seen play. Elven Archer has seen active play. I have played that card. Or Elvish, the 1-mana 1/1 that deals 1. I have played that card.
Cheaty Ankle Biter.
That card is currently qualified Noblord for Worlds.
Does that ever actually kill something, or does it always just shoot you in the face to upgrade a spellstone?
It can ping
all of the things.
It can ping a thing. It's a thing ping. It pings.
Yeah.
It killed something. It killed a Quest Rogue pre-reward minion. Take that, Southsea Deckhand.
And healed you for one.
It pops Divine Shields. It kills Righteous Protectors. It sets up Defiles.
Get him.
It's like, yeah, it's good.
All right, you have anything more for Goofed Hat?
You talked about the Mage Elemental cards enough that I don't need to rehash that, but yeah. And then there are a few cards. I have the section Jury Still Out. I'm specifically listing these as goofs that I am trying to double or nothing on. That's basically what this section is that they aren't seeing play now, but I think they will see play post-rotation, and they have the chance to look twice as dumb, so feel free to get a front row seat. Headhunter's Hatchet, the hunter weapon that if you have a beast, it gets +1 durability. There are a lot of good beasts out there. If we land in Springpaw land after the rotation, if Hunter's even playable after Kobolds and Catacombs rotates out, which I don't even know, we're going to be hatcheting people. That's going to happen. Shieldbreaker, the 2-mana 2/1 that silences a taunt. If we get to the point where taunts matter again, I want to get him out of the way. Appa is nodding. Botticus is shaking his head.
I still don't believe in the Shieldbreaker.
So I'm currently playing in the format where aggro decks are a real thing and can play different mana costed cards. And this card is bananas in Pirate Warrior.
Yeah.
It said deck wants to go face. All right, we took this stupid Shieldbreaker out. We made it cost 2 less, and you get to play with it. Here you go. That card is so good in a hyper aggro deck. We have none of those in standard, so it is wildly unplayable currently.
Or standardly unplayable. And also, Botticus, remember what you wanted to put in OTK Paladin when we lost Uther? Which card was that?
Tyrion.
What does Tyrion have, Botticus?
Not
anymore! Not anymore!
Silence.
Yeah. We can go back to the world where the Tyrion meme is he is an 8-mana 6/6 with a red X in the text box, and that is what Tyrion is. And then I put Zentimo as my Jury's Still Out card because the Zentimo Unstable Evolution thing isn't a thing and didn't end up being a thing. But there's still something here if we get to a world where Shaman is playable again without Gengraming.
If we get to a world where people are playing big, thick minions, Zentimo Hex is a game ender. That
Yes.
thing is dumb. I'm also playing it in the Shutterwalk Jade Shaman deck that I talked about at the start of the show, and that card is helping me out significantly in many matchups to go 50-50 against the best decks in Wild. So I think Zentimo has something there. I think that card's underrated currently, but I think it's underrated for good reason, because it hasn't seen a reason to see play outside of the Unstable Evolution meme. But Zentimo Hex by itself is really, really good.
And this concludes my double or nothing, make it or break it, got it or goofed it ×2 section. Botticus, give me some goofs. What's your goofs?
All right, I'm gonna be real brief because we're getting pretty long in the tooth here. Lots of your goofs. I also goofed. I feel like we were this was one of the sets where we were largely in agreement on a lot of cards. The one card that we weren't in agreement on that I goofed the hardest is Walk the Plank, and it's not particularly close. I thought this card was going to be bonkers. This card sucks. Don't play this card. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I thought this was one of the better cards in the set, and I don't even think it'll see play, even if we go to a more minion-based format. I guess we'll see, but I don't expect anything out of this card. Halazi the Lynx, I put it as a goof because I thought it might be okay. I think it's sometimes okay to get off Rexar, but for the most part is just not super exciting. Not really worth it. And Banana Buffoon, it saw a lot more play than I thought it was going to see, which was 0. And people played in Quest Mage, and it was seen play in a weird priest deck for a while. So I'm happy for the guy. He's my buddy. And yeah, that's it for me. Really, just Walk the Plank was an epic fail. That was so wrong.
A 4-mana conditional removal spell in Rogue when Odd Rogue is the main aggro deck in the format. No plank you.
Oh no. That one. Mm-mm. I'm exercising veto power right now. We are vetoing that one.
Any final thoughts? I know it's difficult to follow up something like that.
How long can this go on?
Dang it. I was about to get my last thought in there. It took me a second to pick it out.
Go ahead.
Real quick. Warbear, really strong minion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's one
very,
I
very
think we all
strong.
kind of missed on, right?
Yeah.
None of us really were paying attention, and that card's good.
I think the problem with that one, though, is that minions don't matter. Again, like everything else on this list. So I think post-rotation, the Rush Bear is gonna see some play. So I would say keep an eye out for that one.
Yes.
That would be on my goofs and double or nothings.
Yes. It's when he hits the board, he's large and in rush.
How long can this go on?
Take 2. Let's try this again. We have many folks that we would like to thank. Check out our thanks section on the website, Concede.com, new and improved, where you can find our contact info, our show notes, our patron information, a list of all of our wonderful patrons. We love you. Thank you so much. And all the folks that help make this show happen. You can support our show at patreon.com/CoinConcede. Join us every week live by following us on Twitch at twitch.tv/CoinConcedepodcast. Join our community chats and our Discord at discord.coinconcede.com. Write to our email at coinconcede@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at CoinConcede, as well as like, share, and follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/CoinConcede. And if you'd like some CC swag, head over to our shop at shop.coinconcede.com. Big thanks to our producers, Viriatus Tacos, Ryan, and Donald. You might notice that thanks section's a little different. We streamlined it for you. And if you want to get in touch with us, check out coinconcede.com. All of our contact information is there. If we have a special event to tell you about, like the Rastakahn's Listener Not League series thing that you can also get to on our website, we will talk about it here. But if you can contact us at the same place every week, go to our website, check it out, find us. We're there. I'm actually updating it now, and we will have current contact information on the site. So, Coin Concedes. Botticus.
So I would like to coin concede this week to Hydralisk. I got a very nice message from them when I was laddering that they thought I did a good job hosting. So I was very happy to get a message like that when I'm trying out something I haven't really done before, and glad that at least you enjoyed it. So thank you for the kind words.
Appa.
Sorry, I had to find my unmute button. I have a few coin conceits this week. At the top of the list is going to be Goosh, and that is not a sound effect that I'm trying to make. That is a person I played against on ladder at during my tilt streak down from rank 2. I played against them. They were at rank 1. I had queued up Even Shaman, and I queued into Odd Warrior, and that was a bad time for me. And I was real huffy after that one, because getting your 7/7s just shield slammed like nothing happened, and then losing those 2 mana crystals next turn feels awful. That happened multiple times, and I was real mad, just internally fuming. And then they sent me a friend request. I'm like, great, they're gonna BM. And then, hold on, I have the screenshot on my phone. I'm gonna pull it up because I didn't want to get it wrong. He said he added me, or they added me, and they said, wait a minute, are you the real Appa? And while I read that, I started typing, and I said, I think I'm the only one. I don't know. And, he said, if so, Coin Conceit is awesome, and you guys rock. Also, GG's. And then I said, glad you like the show, GG's. Because I was not in a mood to talk, because I just got ranched by Odd Warrior, but I still tried to be positive. So thank you, Goosh, for the friend request. Thank you for crushing me on ladder. But also thank you for tuning into the show and sending me a friend request, because believe it or not, that actually did help make my day better after that, or that hour. That it helped me tilt less. It made me happy. Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. And then my 2 other coin concedes are 2 things from PAX. The first one is Pugly. If you don't know what Pugly is, it is spelled Puglie, Pug, and that is a cartoon pug that apparently had its own booth at PAX. Taylor and I came down the escalator and walked through the front doors into the expo hall, and we saw a giant blow-up cartoon pug, and we said, we found our home. So we went to that booth, and it was just a bunch of cartoon pugs, a bunch of merch with it, stickers, buttons, t-shirts. Taylor and I got 2 t-shirts, and we got a free bag. Also, just gigantic bag, like the ones you had at BlizzCon, like those real big ones, with just a big cartoon pug on it. And so that's going to be nice to store stuff in. So that was a really nice surprise. Got some pug merch, and then also Coin Concede to pork shoulder street tacos from this authentic Mexican place on the Riverwalk in San Antonio. They were so good. I usually don't like corn tortillas, but I got them. I ordered them, just authentic street tacos. I didn't want to ask for flour. I didn't want to be the stupid gringo doing that. I wanted to just do it authentic, and I was very surprised. It was delicious. They were really, really good. It was also the best salsa I have ever had in my life at that place. So just shout out to that restaurant. I forget the name of it, but street tacos were incredible.
I'm so hungry. I'm so hungry right now. And I can't even find good tacos around here. Okay, good coin concedes. I would like to coin concede to the IDDM. He has a podcast called Ego Check with the IDDM, and he is a doctor, psychiatrist, I believe. It's either psychiatrist or psychologist. I forget which one. Therapy focus. It's the one that makes a person smart, because he's very smart. And he had a friend of the show, Cinder, talking about the Talkstone world of casting Hearthstone and about world building as a DM. Really, really great episode. And the episode before that was with Kevin Hoftestad, who used to cast Hearthstone and be on Well Met years ago, and has been involved with esports and still involved with esports, and that was also a great episode. And so go listen to the DM and check out those episodes. Big coin concedes to B-Squatch for the Men Without Hats joke. Big coin concedes to Rob, who, if you are not current, he stepped off of Velen's Chosen, not this last episode, but the one before was his last episode, which was also the episode where Eve came back. Eve's back, but Rob is stepping down due to his personal responsibilities with Omnic and other stuff, and I think kind of a little bit of a fade away from Hearthstone as well. And Rob has been an incredible supporter of the show. Velen's Chosen has been basically our sibling show for as long as I can remember. And when I had to get into editing the audio, he was so helpful. I cannot even begin to tell you how helpful he was, and really supportive of the show and always available. So really, really great guy. And Rob, I hope that the free time is everything that you need it to be and more. So good luck.
Yeah. Rob is awesome, people. Been on Velen's Chosen once, just to talk about Shaman. Rob is my Shaman brother from another podcast, and also Overwatch friend. He's had me on
Omnic Lab
with him and Andres before too, just to talk about different similarities between the games. But yeah, great dude. Gonna miss you on Velen's Chosen, but appreciate you a lot.
And coin concedes to Gary. Gary, I want to thank you for your feedback on the business proposal that I sent your way. I know that it was a little rough. Keep calm, and oh boy, Botticus, only the patron are going to get that. Botticus wrote down, keep calm and figure out who's anchoring.
Is it me? Is it you?
There were allegations of a mutiny, which doesn't happen.
Is Gary anchoring?
If he did, if two of the three of us would be happy, and one of us would wonder about his credentials. That's what would happen.
Excuse me, Gary. I'm gonna need your laminated resume. I don't believe you're qualified.
Yeah.
Sir?
Well, keep calm, and I don't even know anymore. Keep calm and hope that there's enough content in this episode after I edit it. That's still good. Yes. Keep calm, and I am the anchor now. And if you see us on ladder, coin concede.
Coin concede.
Coin concede.
Take cold comfort in your victory. You win. I can rest now. You win. For now. Now, your victory proves nothing.
The day is yours.
I choose death. You have triumphed.